Hi, my name is Brett Showalter. I'm with John Deere and looking forward to having a discussion with you today around some of the technology and offerings that we have from John Deere that we think will be important for your operations in the future. I'm the business manager for our large tractor and tillage products globally, and really what that entails is we work with growers, customers like yourselves, to identify what are new areas that we need to develop within our portfolio of products and technology to help you improve your businesses. And then we work with our design teams to really build out those products, and we validate those with customers either on farm or within our design centers to be able to ensure that we're hitting the right targets for those new products. And then finally, our group works on the materials that you're going to find as you research on johndeere.com or as you go to your dealerships and look for materials on some of the offerings that we have. And then overall, we develop the plans for profitability for our overall businesses. So that's a little bit about myself. I grew up in a family farming operation that's still active today, and I'm a part of that today. And have that operation was in the Midwest, so I didn't grow up with potatoes, but I have had an opportunity throughout my career with John Deere to spend time with potato growers. I've visited with potato growers and on potato farms on 3 continents, lots of different countries around the world, learning about your operations and how you run your potato businesses. And so what I wanted to talk through today as I get into some of the meat of my presentation is really around technology, how technology has continued to evolve, and where we see the future of technology going with John Deere, and how that's probably going to tie into your operations in the future. So if you think about some of the emerging technologies, when I started with John Deere 23 years ago, emerging technologies were things like parallel tracking, where you were driving your vehicles based on what the screen is telling you to do. And then it evolved into things like auto track. I worked early on with some of our sprayers, self-propelled sprayers like the 4700, as that was just coming into market. So it's really been amazing as we've watched how technology has continued to grow and expand over my career with John Deere. And I think the future is really bright as we look forward to where that technology is going to go in the future. So if we think about farming and the future of farming, we really look at it as a few different pillars: automation to autonomy, anywhere management, and insights to intelligence. As we break those down a little bit further, it's about improving profitability, improving job quality, managing not just your field level or zone within a field level, but managing plant level operations within your field, and doing that at scale, so it's easy for you to be able to execute those different plant level activities within the field. And then it's about providing you information so that you can manage your operations in real time with a connected fleet of information that allows you to execute jobs more precisely and make good decisions, using actionable intelligence within those operations. So we're setting up machines to be proactive and predictive based on some of the parameters that you set up for those vehicles. So today I'm going to talk a little bit more around where we're going in the future. We're going to talk about vision systems, machine learning, artificial intelligence. We'll dive into our See and Spray offering and talk to you about how that offering utilizes all those different technology suites I just talked about. We're going to dive into automation to autonomy, electrification, and and data. And then I'll spend a little bit of time at the end talking about some of our suite of tractors and some of the changes that we've made to those offerings that really have been tailored toward potato operations in the future. So let's start with See and Spray. And See and Spray is one of our products that is a hallmark for us in our See and Act strategy. So using vision systems to really identify something within the field, and then we act upon that upon what we've seen from those vision systems. So we use a set of cameras and processing units to really identify a target, make a decision about that target, and then act on that. So in the case of See and Spray, this is about identifying weeds within a field, targeting your herbicide applications specifically on those weeds. And then we do that in order to have cost savings and better sustainability. So I can utilize a whole lot less chemicals if I don't have to broadcast that entire field, and I can spray specifically on those weeds. So if you think about targeted weed selection, where I grew up, we used to call that walking soybean fields, where Dad took us out to the field and we were selectively just pulling out the weeds. So we're now able to utilize these technologies and vision systems to enable us to go out there and target those weeds. We started out with our See and Spray offering, spraying green on brown, meaning fallow fields with weeds in them. And we would do that as in lieu of a burn down application. We've now progressed that into green on green. So we can identify specific weeds within a specific crop and be able to target those. So that's how we've continued to progress along our See and Spray offering. And if you think to the future and what that technology may enable you to do, you can now utilize that to say, how do I want to apply insecticides differently? How do I want to target fungicide to be more precise in how that is applied, or fertilizers? So I think we've started out with herbicides and weeds, but we will continue to build out on that See and Spray strategy to be able to progress and again help you manage those input costs to maximize your overall yield and revenue across that field. So that's a little bit about See and Spray. Next, I'd like to talk to you about our automation to autonomy journey and really what we're doing there and why. And so we think about the automation journey that we've been on. This is about feedback from growers like yourselves telling us, I really have a challenging time finding skilled labor to be able to operate these big, expensive, complicated machines. So I need your help to make those jobs that I'm putting those operators in the seat, make that easier for them to execute that job, do it well, and do it consistently, and really mistake-proof those operations as they go throughout the field. So if you think about what automation is, if you maybe have a little bit of a mindset shift on vehicles in the field, think of those as robots. And what we're doing is programming in those robots to have a specific set of parameters that we want them to go and execute as they go throughout the field. And the great thing about robots is they don't get tired. They don't have to take phone calls. They aren't on Twitter sending out tweets. Their focus, their job is going and executing that job with the parameters that you've set in. So if you think about some of the examples of where we're already doing automation within our product line, it's auto track turn automation is one where I can basically program that machine and implement to execute a job throughout that field. And I can, as an operator, be hands off for the most part throughout the majority of that field. We also have things like AutoPath, Combine Advisor, and Combine Advisor. I'm setting up parameters within that machine, and then that machine is self-adjusting to stay within those parameters as well. And there are several other examples of automation technology that we already have in place for customers to utilize. Machine Sync is another one where we can program the combine to dump into the grain cart and do that automatically. We have a Machine Sync universal that can be used with your crop cart and your potato harvester to be able to automate that task as well. So there's several of those where it's an automated operation where we have the operator still sitting in the seat. The next progression beyond that is what we would call full autonomy, where we're able to actually pull the operator out of the seat and be able to have that vehicle run and do that job automatically without somebody in there. And so we announced about a year ago now that we were offering into the market an autonomous tillage solution. So we use an existing 8R tractor, which is a tractor that we're building within our factories today. Many of you may have those tractors on your farm already. And we're adding some additional suite of products to that in order for that machine to be able to operate autonomously. And what we're really adding to it is a system of cameras and VPUs, so processing units, that allow that machine to create a safety bubble around it so that it can identify obstacles and then make decisions on what do I need to do because of that obstacle in the field. And if you think about what, as we describe these robots, think of a tractor as a robot. What we're ultimately doing with the vision system and the tractor that we programmed is we're trying to replace the operator that was sitting in the seat. The cameras function as the operator's eyes. Only in this case, we're able to see 365 degrees around that vehicle all the time. We then have our video processing unit. Think of that as the decision-making entity, like a brain would be in your operators. So we're able to then replicate what are the decisions that operator would have made. We use machine learning so that system continues to get smarter and smarter over time. So as we get more acres, not only are we using the data that we're collecting from the cameras and the processing units to make decisions on board, but then we also use that data and send it back to our processing systems so that system continues to get smarter. So the next acre or the next year or the next season, that system will work better than what it did in the past. And then the last portion is, so your operators today are using muscles to be able to make those controls. Well, that's the robot portion, right? We program that machine to make those controls automatically. So think that's really how we're approaching autonomy, is we're taking the things that a skilled operator is doing today and replacing that with sensors and systems so they can sense and act, do that. And we're taking an approach to utilize the existing fleet of equipment that's out likely in your sheds right now and adding these extra components to that to be able to allow you to go out and do that autonomously. So this is not about replacing farmers. I hear that sometimes. Why do you want to replace farmers? This is about supplementing farms that have a challenging time finding labor today. And it's about allowing people to repurpose that labor into higher value tasks, whatever those tasks might be. It might be marketing. It might be, I want to spend more time with my family. I need to go to a ball game. I might be harvesting and still need to get the tillage done at that same time. So this is really about repurposing that labor. Our tillage systems will be, you're going to need to operate that machine on the road, drive it to the field, turn it into the field, set it up, and then I'm able to view that machine from my phone. I start that machine up with my phone and let it go, and then my phone or iPad, tablet, and I can then monitor that machine and the progress that machine is making virtually, again, following into our anywhere management. And then when that machine is done, it's going to stop. We're going to go back and pick it up and take it to the next field. So that's really how we're thinking about autonomous and how that's going to progress over the next couple of years. So that's a little bit about autonomy and automation to autonomy. Next topic I'd like to hit on a little bit is around electrification. So you might have heard that we've recently introduced a new transmission called an EVT. And that EVT transmission is different than some of our historical IVT transmissions. You still have infinitely variable speeds, but what we've done is we've replaced the hydro motors in those transmissions with an electric setup. And we've done that for three main reasons. One is around durability. Those electric motors are going to have a more durable life, and we've seen that through lots of other applications where we use that. Two is it's a quieter application, so we've heard really positive feedback about that. Third is it gives us the ability to utilize the electrical power that we can generate off that vehicle, and I can do other things with that on the implement, and I'm able to replace some of the other traditional ways that I've used power on a tractor. So if you think about a tractor, I use power by putting that power to the ground through the wheels. I use power hydraulically, PTO, lift, and now I'm able to take that power and produce an electrical current that I can then send off to an implement to be able to utilize. One way we've done that is we're taking that and sending it to an axle on the implement. That implement, we can then use the weight and ballast from that implement, especially if I'm in sticky conditions. That helps that whole vehicle be more efficient. I can take a little bit of the weight off the tractor side of things and have a total system that's more efficient. Other things we're doing is we're able to control other functions that we're still testing on vehicles. And I'll give you an example. We used electrical power in a potato harvester where we replaced some of those traditional power methods and used electrical power. And the customer that we were testing with told us they reduced their bruising on their potatoes by approximately 50%, putting hundreds of dollars per acre into their pocket because they're able to use that electrical power and be more precise in how they're executing that job. They're also more efficient using electricity than we would be, say, if we were using a hydraulic way to do that. It's also easier to route some of that than having long shafts go all the way to the back of a vehicle. So there's lots of different ways that we're utilizing electrical power to be able to continue to make advances in how we're being efficient and more precise with some of those tractor applications going forward. You will hear you'll hear some people say, well, their tractors are going all electric. How's that going to work? It's going to be quite a while before we see production ag size tractors like an 8R be fully electric. Frankly, the density of batteries isn't there to be able to do that yet. We will absolutely see electric tractors in smaller horsepowers go fully electric. But we see other applications for electric in larger tractors in the near-term future, and it's going to be quite a while before we think we'll see fully electric large ag tractors that need to run for 12 to 14 hours a day, be able to do that through battery power. So that's a little bit about where we see electrical going in the production ag space. Last one I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is our tractor suite. And I wanted to talk a little bit about our 8RX tractor, which is our 4-track row crop style tractor. That came out a few years ago. And when that first came out, it may not have been a great fit for some of your potato operations. But what I would ask is consider how that offering has evolved over the last few years and see if that might be a fit for your operations now. We've added additional width spacings to better meet some of your row spacing needs. We've added in narrower belts. We've also added in things like integrated solution tanks. So think of saddle tanks, but these are integrated in to that vehicle that mitigate some of those problems with visibility, entry into the tractor, things like that, that you have with traditional saddle tanks. And then lastly, this EVT transmission, which I alluded to as well, which allows you to get into having infinitely variable speeds throughout our entire power lineup. So what we hear about the 8RX is the ride on that thing is unbelievable in the field. It's able to mitigate some of the challenges that you may have in sticky conditions with a traditional 2-track system. It can turn under load better. There are absolutely fits for both wheels, RTs, all among wheels, RTs, and 4-tracks across lots of different operations. But if you haven't had a chance to see the suite of offerings that we have available lately, I'd ask you to go talk to your John Deere dealer and spend a little time looking at those if you would, and see if we maybe have a better fit for your operation now. So I'd like to say thanks for spending some time with me today. I hope you enjoyed our take on here's the future in a few different applications for how John Deere is looking at helping you within your operations to both improve revenue side, reduce costs, improve efficiency overall across that. We have a whole suite of technology that's here today that we're building on to be able to have additional opportunities for adoption in the future. And the future is really bright in agriculture. If you look at the speed with which we've seen change happen in ag and what's coming, it's a really exciting time to be in agriculture. So thank you.